Hello, everyone. Today I wanted to talk with you all about the sensitive subject of passing away. I've been very fortunate in my lifetime. I've had a few people in my life that I was very close to pass away years ago, and I haven't had many since. But now I'm older and I'm facing three people in my circle, not necessarily close relatives. I worked in the field of law for 12 years. When I started my career after college, I chose a specialty in the area of probate, wills, trusts, and estates. When I worked in personal injury, it took a toll on my mental health because every day I met somebody new with a debilitating injury that was through no fault of their own. It was horrible. It was heart-wrenching and horrendous. And it wasn't the line of work for me. I just couldn't cope with so much destruction to people's lives caused by car accidents, slip and falls, or what have you. It was just too much for me. I had to settle on a specialty and I chose probate work. You may think dealing in probate matters would be harder on somebody's emotional state than dealing with somebody injured, but it wasn't, and I'll tell you why. When I met with clients, it was a human being with feelings, with tragedies that came before me and presented their side of the story, and every situation was so gut-wrenching and horrible. In probate, while I did have to meet with and talk with the surviving heirs, I never met, in most cases, the deceased, unless they had their will and trust drawn up at the law firm where I worked. Most of the cases, 98% of the time, I never met the decedent. Therefore, I could proceed with a clear head and not be constantly depressed and feeling so sad all of the time. And typically, the clients I worked with were elderly, so the majority of the deaths were natural causes. But here we are today, and I am facing the loss of three people in my circle. There's a couple of things that stick out in my mind when somebody passes away. The first one is surviving widows are often shocked. They are shocked that they will no longer get 2 Social Security checks if they are presently getting Social Security. They feel overwhelmed by their income being cut in half or more in some cases. Many people, and I don't know if this can be attributed to broken heart syndrome, but many people in their elder years, when their spouse passes away, they don't last 6 months. They pass away as well. And for the third one, when my grandmother was passing away, it came as a shock, even though she was elderly, she was sick, but she wasn't at the point where we all thought she was going to pass away next week or in 2 weeks. But that's what happened. I had visited her with my young children. They played patty cake with her. And 2 weeks later, hospice was there and she was passing away. She sat me down in front of her where hospice had brought in a hospital bed for her comfort. And she said to me, "Please be honest with me, am I dying?" My grandmother didn't even realize she was dying because it happened so suddenly. 1 minute, she's sitting on the couch watching TV, and 2 weeks later, her body hurt so bad she couldn't sit up anymore. It did come as a shock, even though we were all sort of prepared because she had been sick for a long time. I answered truthfully and I told her yes. What I didn't know was some people in my family took that very offensively. And they didn't feel that was appropriate to tell her the truth. They thought I should have told her no and just let her go to sleep in peace. I think I did the right thing, and I don't second guess my judgment, and I don't ever regret what I said to my grandmother because I know it was the truth, and she raised me to tell the truth, first and foremost. But secondly, my takeaway from that is my grandmother in her elder years was very resentful, and she blamed God for things. When I spoke the truth to my grandmother, it was in the hope that she could make herself right with God. Because if she was blaming God, I didn't want her to go out of this world resenting him. I wanted her to come to terms with her anger and resentment because she was going to be facing him. What would you do if your loved one said to you, "Am I dying?" Would you tell them the truth? Let me know in the comments below why or why not. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.